The Shenandoah is a 65-foot wooden fishing vessel that we have here at the Harbor History Museum. The boat is amazing. It's one of the last of its kind. It was built here in Gig Harbor. It was fished by 2 different Gig Harbor families, so it has really deep ties to this area and its history of commercial fishing.
First step was basically just removing as much rot as we could. There wasn't a lot of real repair work done probably for the last 20 years on the boat. It was a lot of, patching it up and keeping it going another season. So there was, plywood and tin flashing, nails to the side. The last owner, Tony Janovich, his brother George was Pierce County Sheriff, and one of his campaign signs had been used to patch a hole in the deck.
The Janovich family is one of the old Croatian families here in the harbor. I did meet Tony once. He was the last owner of the boat. But most of my contact was with his daughter, Bunky.
Tony Janovich was my father, so I grew up on the boat. At the time, my dad was still fishing on the Shenandoah, and then when he got sick and he couldn't fish anymore, he just said, there's a guy on Vashon Island that wants to buy the boat for live-aboard. Also, the museum's interested in it. And he said, what do you think, sis? And I said, well, hands down, right? I would much rather have it there than rot at a dock somewhere.
We took it out through the county launch on the side of the bay. So it was kind of a big deal logistically, but it also was a pivotal moment in terms of the preservation of the boat itself.
Probably the most common question we get is whether the boat's going to return to the water. And of course the answer here is no. It was intended to stay a part of the museum collection, but not as a floating artifact, but as an artifact that's in dry dock, that's specifically preserved and restored, conserved, in order to have people be able to step aboard. Conservation is basically stopping deterioration in a moment in time, and restoration is rebuilding it to be as it was in a certain period. Conservation and restoration in this project are going hand in hand.
We're doing port side, more conservation back to the original 1925 appearance, and the starboard side will be to the kind of post-50s, probably early 70s period.
So we have kind of melded the two in an unusual way that allows us to really teach not only boat building skills, because you can see the original construction of the boat, but conservation techniques and then restoration techniques. We've talked a lot about how we have the Dorotich side and we have the Janovich side. The Shenandoah was built in 1925 here in Gig Harbor at the Skansie Shipyard. Pasco Dorotich, his son John, and his son-in-law Nick Bez came together and they commissioned the Shenandoah to be built. The Shenandoah was fished by the Dorotich family from 1925 until 1966, and then in 1967, Tony Janovich purchased the boat specifically to have a boat to fish in the San Juans. Unfortunately, we don't know how the boat got its name, Shenandoah. It's unusual because it's typically equated with things in the east, Shenandoah Valley and whatnot. But the one thing we have been able to figure out is the story of the Shenandoah airship that was the first rigid airship built by the US Navy. And it actually came to this area in October of 1924. The school's closed so the kids can go outside and look up at the sky. Business is closed so everybody could go watch the airship circle around the sound. It was sort of this epitome of technology for the time. And if that's what you felt your new boat was going to represent, it's a nice connection. So the Veteran is the one other Skansie-built seiner that has been really well preserved so that they can do on-the-water excursions.
I would be sleeping in the bunk down in the forecastle, and my dad would be the first one up always. He'd make his coffee, you could hear all that going on, and then pretty soon you could hear the footsteps down the ladder because he was coming down to start the engine. And then I thought, oh, here comes the noise.
get up 3:30 in the morning and you go out to the banks and do your fishing until, if there's fish around, you stay until dark and just keep working, and go in at night and you go to a tender and load what fish you caught, and then you'd sit down and have dinner, and then you'd go to bed and recycle, and the next day you'd go through the same thing again. Move that boat to the right, speed it up a little bit. We're gonna get ready to close up, swing to the right.
It really is a community. It's like you have to live it to know that feeling of just being part of that whole fishing group.
We all partied together, and then we cut each other's throat when we were out fishing.
That galley table could talk. All the people, all the different crews that sat around that table in the good times and the bad times, and think about all the things that happen. There's something besides just the wood and the net and the fish about the boat. It's what happened in that boat.
It was a fishing community, and this boat represents that community, and the restoration has created a community. And I think people love coming down and seeing the progress on the boat. One part of this project that's very unique is that it's primarily volunteer labor. And we've had a very dedicated group of wonderful individuals that have, some of them been doing this for over a decade now.
What we bring to the community is a opportunity for the population of the city to take part in something that is, well, it's historical and it's beautiful.
All preservation is local. That's the line that we always say, because your local places, like the net sheds, are where somebody was proposed to. Maybe somebody celebrated their birthday there. Maybe you went down to the waterfront and had picnics with your grandparents. But these local places are meaningful. And so preserving a boat like the Shenandoah connects people to the history of where they live and the place and why the town is there and the importance of the community. It makes where they are significant, and it makes where they are come alive to them.
When you can go to a place where history happened, or walk around on a vessel that was operational, that people lived on and worked on, it brings the stories to life. It brings history to life. So I think the Shenandoah's role in that, again, is to provide that experience that can contextualize the stories that we hear and learn about, that can put an actual name and a face to some of those stories, a place to those stories, and just, again, enable the imagination to go that one step further beyond just pages in a book. It's important, too, for understanding how we may have done things the wrong way.
This boat is iconic to so many of those connections between present issues that we face environmentally and past commercial endeavors and industries that really shaped our identity as a community.
Overfishing played a role in the loss of the populations in the early part of the 20th century. And this is one of those places where I think partnerships with the native tribes are going to be key to future survival. They've got a wisdom on this issue that I really respect, and I hope in the long run we can turn to them for guidance on moving forward and preserving these habitats.
To connect the Shenandoah to that broader story is, I think it's part of the museum's responsibility. It's not something that you really have an option to talk about. I think it's really part of our responsibility to help inform future decisions.
It is good for the younger generation, because if they see how it was done, they can say, you know what, we could still do it, but we'll make it better.
My 3 great-grandkids are down in Arizona. If in another 20 years when I'm gone, if they ever want to know about the Busich family or any family in Gig Harbor, they can come to this museum. They can see that boat and say, my grandpa ran that boat. And they can look at the history of what we did.
It's a tool. A fishing boat is a tool. It's just a large tool, but at the end of the day, it's like a tractor. It's a big tool. It's no longer a fishing tool, it's a teaching tool. And we want to make that the sharpest, most efficient tool that we can.